Here are the top stories for today, December 17, 2021. Thousands moved to safer grounds as Typhoon Odette barrels, leaving a massive trail of devastation in most of the Visayas and Mindanao. The palace says all hands are on deck in responding to the impact of the typhoon. Faster journey to development, President Rodrigo Duterte ensures that the MRT-7 will be partially operational by the last quarter of next year as he unveils the new train sets of the rail system. Cheers to a new beginning, the Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa program is sending 70 individuals back to Zambo Norte where a fresh start awaits them. And the Philippines continues to gain international attention as it is named again as the world's leading dive destination this year. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The national and local governments are teaming up to respond to the needs of communities hit by Typhoon Odette. During yesterday's unveiling of the MRT-7 trains in Quezon City, President Rodrigo Duterte said various government agencies are closely monitoring the movement of Typhoon Odette over the country. Acting presidential spokesperson and Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles meanwhile said all hands are on deck in government's quick response to Typhoon Odette.
We have undertaken all necessary precautions, pre-positioned resources, and closely coordinated with the localities to prepare for immediate emergency and relief response. Still, we must remain watchful and careful of developments. Let us ensure that our people in the areas of the path of the typhoon will be safe and well.
Meanwhile, the United Nations expressed its readiness to support the Philippine government in response to the onslaught of Typhoon Odette. UN Philippines Country Representative Gustavo Gonzalez said the Philippines humanitarian country team were closely monitoring Odette typhoon and pre-positioned humanitarian support in close coordination with the government. UNICEF, for its part, is ready to distribute supplies on short notice and activate partners for more emergency supplies. For his part, Albay Representative Joey Salceda, author of the measure creating the Department of Disaster Resilience, has called for the immediate approval of the bill. This as some regions are not yet culturally and structurally used to typhoon preparations. The bill is still pending in the Senate. More residents in typhoon-hit Odette are safely sheltered in the various evacuation facilities. The national and local government units also pre-positioned various assistance to address the need of the people.
In Caraga, thousands of residents fled their homes as Typhoon Odette made its first landfall yesterday afternoon. The typhoon made its first landfall at around 1:30 p.m. in Siargao Island in Surigao del Norte. In Butuan City, a total of 29 barangays were directly affected by flooding as intermittent rains dampened most parts of the city. In Surigao City, a total of 3,280 families or 11,268 individuals from different barangays fled their homes due to floods. They are now temporarily sheltered in 48 evacuation centers in the city. In Agusan del Sur, evacuations were also conducted as most of the major river systems in the province have swollen due to intermittent rains since Wednesday. Meanwhile, close to 4,000 individuals in Lapu-Lapu City, Cebu were evacuated. These are residents of the 14 low-lying villages in the mainland and the island group. Meanwhile, Mandaue Mayor Jonas Cortez placed the entire city under red alert and ordered the mobilization of the Typhoon Emergency Operations Center. He urges residents to be ready and do their best to keep their families safe. And in Bohol, residents in low-lying towns were evacuated as Typhoon Odette threatened the areas with flood and landslide. Governor Arthur Yap tasked the provincial agriculturists to monitor the farmlands to address possible damages to cropping outputs. He also ordered road clearing equipment to be ready and address possible threats to electrical connections in the province. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondok.
The Department of Trade and Industry says there is no need to implement a price freeze in areas affected by Typhoon Odette for now. Details DTI Secretary Ramon Lopez said there should be a declaration of a state of calamity from a local government unit before implementing a price freeze. He said that based on the report of DTI's regional offices, there are no problems with supplies of basic commodities in Odette-affected areas. He, however, noted that they are anticipating a scenario where supplies won't reach groceries and markets, which they will solve to prevent a spike in prices. More government officials are calling for an immediate inquiry on the alleged large-scale smuggling of agricultural products across the country. This after Benguet farmers represented by Agot Balanoy of the League of Associations at the La Trinidad Vegetable Trading Areas said smugglers and their protectors are the ones who must be prosecuted instead of simply raiding markets and retailers. The issue stemmed from the influx of smuggled agricultural products such as carrots, onion, and other fruits and vegetables in the local market, the majority of which came from China. During the Senate hearing on Tuesday, Senator Panfilo Lacson grilled the Department of Agriculture and the Bureau of Customs on how these imported products reach the Philippine market despite supposedly strict protocols. Senate President Vicente Sotto, meanwhile, said that laws enacted for the modernization of the agricultural sector would be futile if smuggling and corruption continued to reign. He said the large-scale smuggling of agricultural products can be considered economic sabotage under the Anti-Agricultural Smuggling Act of 2016. For Magsasaka Party List Representative Argel Cabatbat, these smuggled products pose risk to consumers as these do not have phytosanitary permits. The practice is killing the livelihood of vegetable farmers, and it also steers clear of paying the correct taxes to the government. The MPL filed House Resolution 2282 to investigate vegetable smuggling in the country. The country's vaccine experts panel will officially recommend the administration of booster dose 3 months after receiving the second dose. DOH Secretary Francisco Duque III said this would be applied to all COVID-19 vaccine brands that were approved as boosters, as recommended by the country's vaccine expert panel. Duque also noted that massive vaccination efforts of primary and booster doses must be accompanied with strict adherence to public health and safety protocols. Based on the available data being analyzed, Duque said vaccines are still effective against severe symptoms, hospitalization, and even death. Another milestone is reached as the government administered more than 100 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines since the rollout in March. The latest data from the National COVID-19 Vaccination Dashboard showed a total of 100,013,599 doses have been administered nationwide, with 43,024,393 Filipinos are now fully protected against the disease. The 1,014,205 eligible individuals who got their booster shots or additional doses. National Task Force Against COVID-19 Chief Carlito Galvez Jr. reiterated the need for the local government units to further ramp up vaccination efforts, especially now that the Omicron variant is posing a threat to the country. He said the government is heading to complete the 2 doses of 11 million more Filipinos to reach the targeted 54 million fully vaccinated individuals before the end of the year. Galvez also noted that the government is prepared for the possible entry of the Omicron variant in the country. Still to come, 70 individuals are in for a merrier Christmas as they are set to return to Zamboanga del Norte via the BP2 program. And keeping development in full swing, President Rodrigo Duterte unveils the new train sets of the soon-to-be operational MRT-7. Details ahead, keep it here on the PNA Newsroom.
Paolo Medjones po para sa kampanyang Disiplina Muna na pinangungunahan ng DILG. Bakit ba kailangan magparehistro sa pagpapabakuna laban sa COVID-19? Mahalagang magparehistro dahil ito ang unang step sa pagpapabakuna laban sa COVID-19. May 3 pamamaraan upang makapagrehistro ang isang Pilipino na nais mabakunahan. Una, ang online registration sa inyong local government unit o LGU. Pangalawa, ang pagpunta sa mga vaccination centers at pagkuha ng registration form. At pakikipag-ugnayan sa mga pinuno ng barangay o sa mga barangay health center. Tandaan, online, sa mga vaccination site o sa mga barangay health centers ang pagpaparehistro sa pagpapabakuna kontra COVID-19. Muli ako po si Paolo Medjones, Disiplina Muna Ambassador na nagpapaalala, huwag matakot magpabakuna. Bida ang may disiplina. Magparehistro at magpabakuna para ligtas ang pamilya, ligtas ang bayan. Disiplinadong Pilipino ay rehistrado para maging bakunado.
The Philippines has significantly improved in terms of COVID-19 recovery as compared to 120 other countries, according to a report by Nikkei Asia. The Philippines ranked 57th, sharing the place with Tajikistan, Norway, and Malaysia as of November 30. The country jumped 46 spots higher compared to its 103rd ranking in October. This means the Philippines is now ahead of Australia, the United States, Thailand, Singapore, Germany, and Vietnam based on infection control, vaccination, and social mobility amid the pandemic. Presidential advisor and testing czar Vince Dizon attributed this milestone to the continuous implementation of prevention, detection, isolation treatment, and reintegration strategies against COVID-19, as well as cooperation from all stakeholders. This also resulted in the country's very aggressive vaccination strategies and bayanihan spirit among Filipinos. The Philippine National Police urged the public to continue observing minimum public health standards after the country reported 2 cases of the COVID-19 Omicron variant. PNP Chief General Leonardo Carlos reiterated the need to always wear face masks and face shields, especially in public places, and to strictly observe physical distancing and personal hygiene. Carlos also asked the public not to take these protocols lightly to avoid being cited for violations to achieve safer mobility this holiday season. The PNP shall continue to discharge its duty of maintaining peace and order in the enforcement of quarantine protocols. Meanwhile, the National Capital Region Police Office reported that there were no untoward incidents reported at the start of the traditional Simbang Gabi in Metro Manila. Around 61,000 devotees attended masses in 313 places of worship, while 3,000 cops were deployed together with 11,000 force multipliers to maintain order and security and ensure compliance with minimum health protocols. At least 70 individuals leaving for Zamboanga del Norte province next week are part of the latest batch to go home through the Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa program. The beneficiaries underwent dispatch procedures Thursday at the BP2 depot in Agham Road in Quezon City, where they were asked to register upon arrival and were given an orientation on the BP2 program. They were provided sleeping accessories, pillows, blankets, food, and other essentials during their stay. They are supposed to leave for Zamboanga del Norte on Friday, but their trip was delayed due to the inclement weather brought by Typhoon Odette. The BP2 aims to address Metro Manila's congestion by encouraging people to return to their home provinces and start over with new livelihood and other support.
Bali, yung trabaho ko, on-call driver na lang simula ng pandemic. Tapos, nangungupahan po kami ng bahay. Ang hirap talaga sobra, sir. Kaya nakapag-desisyon yung misis ko na mag-apply po kami ng Balik Probinsya. Apply kami nung nakaraang taon. So, ngayon, natupad na yung pangarap namin na makauwi ng Zamboanga del Norte. Sa ngayon po, pag-uwi namin, meron pong binibigay po ng Balik Probinsya na pangkapital. Siguro mag-business kami ng kahit una lang ba, maliit na business, yung pangingisda.
President Rodrigo Duterte vows that the national government will ensure that the MRT-7 will be partially operational by the fourth quarter of 2022. The president graced the unveiling of brand new train sets for the MRT-7 along Commonwealth Avenue in Diliman, Quezon City on Thursday. He noted that the MRT project will provide fast, efficient, convenient, safe, and reliable transportation for workers and businesses in Metro Manila and nearby provinces. He said the MRT-7 is proof of his administration's commitment to delivering long-lasting infrastructure development in the country amid the COVID-19 pandemic. He thanked the MRT-7's government and private partners for their role in making a new milestone possible. The MRT-7 is expected to serve around 300,000 passengers in its first year of operations.
We can proudly say that his new metric rail transit system, which spans more than 24 kilometers from North Avenue in Quezon City to San Jose del Monte in Bulacan. It is a world-class mode of transportation for the benefit of the people. The project is more than 60% complete, and we are committed to make it partially operational by fourth quarter of 2022.
Malacanang strongly denounced the attack on Rico Osmeña, a block timer for radio station DYLA in Cebu City on Thursday. Osmeña was shot while on board a minibus traveling along Urdaneta Street in Barangay San Roque. Local police said two unidentified male gunmen suddenly boarded the minibus and shot the victim twice in the back and immediately fled. Another female passenger was injured during the incident. Undersecretary Joel C. Egco, Executive Director of the Presidential Task Force on Media Security, said he has asked the PNP Regional Office to find and apprehend the perpetrators. Egco said with the elections fast approaching, he expects to see more cases of threats and violence against media workers. Osmeña's block time program at DYLA Karun Sugbo airs from 11 a.m. to 12 o'clock noon from Monday to Friday. He was said to be very critical of alleged vegetable smuggling in Cebu. More stories from the newsroom. The Philippines remains as the world's leading dive destination. And heading to Baguio City, we find out what visitors to the country's summer capital must do first before they can enjoy their escapade. Back after a quick break, stay with the PNA Newsroom. Ilocos region can now be declared as insurgency-free following a year of zero violent incidents involving the Communist Party of the Philippines New People's Army. Brigadier General Krishnamurti Mortela, commander of the 702nd Infantry Brigade, said the region is qualified to move to the last stage in the classification of an area as insurgency-free. Mortella said the last stage involves attaining a stable and internal peace and security wherein the government is in full control and there are no longer armed groups. The dismantling of the Komiteng Larangan Guerrilla South Ilocos Sur happened in September last year. National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon Jr. said more developmental projects can be pursued in the Ilocos region as it is now free of violence and illegal activities of the CPP-NPA. The region can also have a good climate for next year's elections. The Philippine National Police condemned the latest atrocities by communist terrorists on humanitarian and disaster response missions in Visayas and Mindanao. This as the New People's Army rebels ambushed residents evacuating ahead of the onslaught of Typhoon Odette in Barangay Cancavan, Carmen, Surigao del Sur on Wednesday. 2 civilians were hurt in the attack at a convoy of soldiers, health workers, and evacuees. In Barangay del Rosario, Matuguinao, Samar, 4 government troopers were hurt while the terrorists attacked authorities pre-positioning relief supplies. In a statement, PNP Chief General Leonardo Carlos echoed the condemnation of the twin attacks by the NPA on government personnel and civilians. Carlos vowed to mobilize the full might of the PNP to arrest the perpetrators. Surigao del Sur police meanwhile identified the attackers as members of the Guerrilla Front 30 of the Northeastern Mindanao Regional Committee of the NPA led by alias Megan. The Philippines remains a top tourist destination for diving enthusiasts after bagging the title for the 3rd time at the prestigious 2021 World Travel Awards. The Philippines bested other dive destinations in the world, such as Maldives, Great Barrier Reef in Australia, Bora Bora in French Polynesia, Cayman Islands, Fiji, Galapagos Islands, and Mexico. Aside from having a vast number of destinations with biologically diverse marine and aquatic resources, it is at the center of magnificent Coral Triangle, home to the richest marine ecosystem on Earth. Top diving spots in the country include the Tubataha Reefs National Park in Palawan, Anilao in Batangas, Malapascua and Moalboal in Cebu, Balikasag, Panglao and Anda in Bohol, and Puerto Galera in Oriental Mindoro. Tourism Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat said the distinction underlines the country's responsibility of protecting and conserving our underwater resources so that these will also be enjoyed and experienced by future generations. Baguio City is back in the list of holiday destinations as the City Council increased the number of tourists it can accommodate per day. An additional 1,000 slots daily have been opened as of December 15. This means Baguio can now welcome up to 5,000 visitors per day. The city government is advising those who plan to visit the mountain resort to enlist at its online tourist registration portal and get a quick response travel permit or QTP. A no QTP, no travel policy is being implemented at the border checkpoints leading to Baguio. Only individuals who are fully vaccinated against COVID-19 are allowed to enter the city as tourists. Meanwhile, the Department of Tourism in Region 1 on Thursday introduced 12 bike trails in Ilocos Norte to entice more people to go outdoors in the new normal. Bike tourism consultant Alex Peralta said Ilocos Norte has a lot of amazing bike trails to jumpstart tourism activities and inspire others to again ride their bikes and enjoy the outdoors. Governor Matthew Joseph Manotoc led a group of riders who tested the Karingking-Serek bike trails. For his part, Manotoc said he has started to push biking since 2019 to reactivate tourism activities and as a means of transportation. A Filipino-Canadian outwit outplayed and outlasted her rivals to win the latest season of the popular American reality show Survivor. Erica Kasupanan, a former communications manager living in Toronto, became the sole survivor of the show's 41st season. Kasupanan scored a landslide victory from the final tribal council in the season finale, which broadcast in the United States on Thursday, Philippine time. She won $1 million in cash. Among her feats in the show was overturning her loss in a rewards challenge by completing a challenge while on Exile Island. In the final episode, she won over 7 of the 8 votes of the tribal council in the questioning phase. Kasupanan was born in Hermosa, Bataan, but she and her family decided to migrate to the metropolitan Toronto area when she was still young. Survivor 41 was the reality show's first season completed amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. Thousands moved to safer grounds as Typhoon Odette barrels, leaving a massive trail of devastation in most of the Visayas and Mindanao. The palace says all hands are on deck in responding to the impact of the typhoon. Faster journey to development, President Rodrigo Duterte ensures that the MRT-7 will be partially operational by the last quarter of next year as he unveils the new train sets of the rail system. Cheers to a new beginning, the Balik Probinsya Bagong Pag-asa program is sending 70 individuals back to Zamboanga del Norte where a fresh start awaits them. And the Philippines continues to gain international attention as it is named again as the world's leading dive destination this year. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear your face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log onto the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC13. And for our holiday countdown, we are about 8 more days to go before Christmas, and that is a week and a day. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, we tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day, everyone.